Hi, in this video, we're going to learn how to turn our LoRa thumbnails from this to this. Here we go. If your LoRa thumbnails look like this, it's probably because your LoRa folder looks like this. Now you've probably noticed these icons along the top of each of the LoRas. If we hit this Edit Metadata, it looks like we can put our preview here. So let's try it. Let's replace the preview. Oh, we get an error. It's okay, we'll fix this. All right, in case you're new to this, the first thing we need to do is get some LoRas. So I like to use civitai.com. Do be forewarned that there is a lot of adult content on here. So use it at your own discretion, and I will go ahead and blur it out for the sake of this video. So I start by searching for LoRa. Not very helpful, but it brings up a filter over here on the left. I'll select Flux 1, D, and S, and I'll select LoRa, and then I'll go ahead and clear out the search criteria. And then I will scroll down until I find something that I like. Okay, I think this ink style looks pretty cool. Let's check it out. Yeah, I like that. So we will go ahead and download it to our LoRa's folder. I do like to change the name to something that's useful. Right now it says ZYD, all this stuff. Ink style, that's pretty good. Download that. Okay, we now have ink style listed in our LoRa folder. So we open up our Forge. I have it in Pinocchio. It's not really this fast. I am fast forwarding it. I have a 4090 and it still takes forever. Okay, so now that Forge is open, we go into our LoRa tab and we look for it. Ink style. There it is with no preview, just like everything else. Well, let's go ahead and fix that. First thing we do, let's go ahead and type in a prompt. I like to take my prompt from Civit AI. Now, some of the images do have the prompts included and some of them don't have the prompts included. This one does. So I'll go into this image. Show more. I'll copy that whole prompt. Paste it into Forge. And then we select the LoRa ink style. There it is. Another thing we want to do is make sure our strength is correct and see if we need to include any trigger words. If a LoRa doesn't specify strength, I typically just leave it at 1. This LoRa does specify the strength. Sometimes they put it up here. Sometimes they just put it in the text. It says 0.6 to 1.2. So I'll just go ahead and leave it at 1 for now. Notice that there is a trigger word loaded. It's ZYDINK. We want to automate this as much as possible, right? We don't want to have to go into Civit AI every time we want to use this and figure out what the trigger words are. So we will go ahead and hit these squares to copy it. So it's now on our clipboard. We'll go back to the ink style. We'll go up into this little hammer and wrench. On this activation text, we will go ahead and paste it in there. If there was more than one, I would just do a comma and then paste the next one and on down the line. Similarly with the weight, it said 0.6 to 1.2. So I'm just going to go ahead and say like 1.01 just for fun. And we will save that. Additionally, I like to copy the prompt again and paste the prompt that I'm actually using into the notes for future reference. Okay, so now all we need is to put an image into this preview and we will be done. So no preview. We'll hit replace preview so we can upload an image and error. That's okay, that's expected. So when it's looking to replace the preview, it's wanting to use the most recently generated image. So you have to actually generate an image in order to get it to work. I'm going to go ahead and delete this LoRa and then hit it again because we had that activation word that we added to the metadata. So it's actually, they put it at the front as well. I don't like to use that, so I'm going to take that out. I like to keep it at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and take that out of my notes. Save that. Okay, so we go to generation. If you look at the LoRa's, I would say it's about 3:5 aspect ratio. But I'm going to make it a little bit more towards square for later purposes. So I'm going to make it 4:3. So that would be 400:300, or let's double it. That'd be 800:600. So we'll do 600 wide and the taller 800 tall. I always put sampling at 30. And we hit generate and wait. All right. And there's our first generation, which is eerily similar to the one from Civit AI, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and use that. So We go back into our LORAs. We find the LORA that we used. We go back into Edit Metadata. Now, when we hit Replace Preview, there's the generation we just made. So now when we click the LORA, because we have the ZYDINK in the activation field, and we have our preferred weight, we have it set to 1.01. When we hit our LORA, it includes the ZYDINK and also includes the 1.01 weight automatically. So you can now see that we have one complete LORA with the thumbnail image. So we will go ahead and really quickly do that with all of these, and voila. All of our LORAs have good thumbnail images. Okay, there's a little bit more going on behind the scenes here. Let's check it out. So here's our LORA folder. I've gone through and completed this workflow on about half of the LORAs. Here are the ink LORAs we just created. So we want to put those into a folder called Ink Style. Drag those bad boys in there. So now here's our Ink Style folder. Forge is looking at that folder and pulling out the images and all of the metadata involved. But it's only looking at this top-level app, models, LORAs. And inside that, we can put multiple folders that will all end up on the same screen here. So for example, here's my LORAs, and say, I want to use drawing lesson. But I don't want people to know that I'm using a drawing lesson LORA for some reason. Like it might be really embarrassing in the arts community. So I can open up a second window. Both of them are app models LORA. I have folders set up for Flux and Flux 2. Flux is where I keep all of my LORAs. Flux 2 is where I keep the LORAs I don't want people to know about. I can move it, but that loses the icon image because it's looking into the Flux folder of the Flux 2 folder. So we're bringing it back and it reappears. If I copy and paste, then it works just fine. And so I would go in here and delete this out of here. So this is the folder that everybody can see that I'm using Abandoned and Crystals and Cyberpunk Enemy style, but nobody can see that I'm using Drawing Lesson. However, Drawing Lesson is still present in my Flux because it's in that same upper level folder. Okay, so for the next part of the workflow, I like to go into the Ink Style folder and create a new text document, and I just call it Link. I copy the link to the civet.ai page, paste it in there, so I have it for future reference in case I need to come back and re-download it or check for updates or anything like that. Additionally, I like to go in and find notes that are useful. Sometimes there will be example prompts or what have you, so now I have some notes I can refer back to later. So we've now accomplished our goal of turning our LORAs into nice thumbnails that really represent what they're doing, rather than just having this preview. But I like to go one step further since I like to move my LORAs around inside my folders. We have our Ink Style folder here. Here we go to cloudconvert.com. There is a link in the description below. It is free for 10 generations a day. So we set it to convert our image from the output PNG, and we select the output ICO. Then, in the options, we put the width and the height at 256. I set fit to scale. I choose yes to strip out the EXIF data. So we go in here and find our ink style. And here's the PNG file, and upload that. This is real time. This is how fast it goes. Ta-da, done. Download to ink style and save. You see the ICO file is now in the LORAs folder. Go back up a level to look for the ink style. You can see the image in there, but we still have the folder that pretty much just blocks everything. I don't know why they do that. Thank you, Microsoft. Properties. Customize. Change icon. Browse. Browse to that ink style folder. And there's the icon right there. Hit OK. Hit Apply. Again, hit OK, and voila. You can actually see what the LORA is going to do from right inside your Explorer. Well, I hope this workflow helps to make your Forge experience a little bit more enjoyable and a little bit more productive for your creativity. If you like this video, please hit that button down there. And if you want to subscribe, you'll know about future videos I put out for AI filmmaking and other media. This is Alder Media Productions. Thank you for watching.